My name is Marin Packer. I'm the Community Outreach Manager for the 3rd District Guardian Ad Litem program, and I'm a foster mom. We are a nonprofit organization, and our only mandate is to protect the interests of these children who have been abused and neglected. We are court-appointed special advocates, which means that the court gives us permissions to investigate these kids' circumstances. We can look into medical records, school records, therapy records, criminal history records, anything to really give us a broader scope of what these kids are going through and how we can help them be safe, happy, and healthy, not only in care, but after they leave it. We're a volunteer-based organization, so we only serve on as many cases as we have volunteers for, but this is great because it means our volunteers take 1 to 2 cases at a time, and they really dedicate their time and service to these kids' welfare. Unfortunately, the system it's overburdened, it's overworked. We have too many kids in care and not enough foster parents, too many kids in care and not enough social workers. They don't have the time to make these kids their focus. We do, which is what makes our program so successful. We have an amazing statistical record for our program. 50% of kids who are served by a guardian ad litem will not re-enter care or be re-abused. 43% of kids who have a guardian ad litem are less likely to enter juvenile detention. They're 8 times more likely to graduate high school. They spend significantly less time in foster care, which reduces trauma and reduces spending from the counties. They also are more likely to be placed with their siblings if they have a guardian ad litem. We dedicate our time, our resources, everything within us to helping these kids. We want to see them thrive. We want to see them become stable, positive citizens. We want to give them positive adult role models in their life so that we can show them how they should be loved and how they should be cared for. We want them to realize that this life isn't as hard as it has been. We work with kids from all ages, 0 to 18, and the impact we make makes a difference. We truly are improving lives. We truly are fostering productive members of society. We truly are protecting the welfare of our communities by protecting the welfare of the children living in them.
So my name is Cassidy, and I am now 20 years old, studying at Northwest Nazarene University, getting my degree in public relations. And I did not always think that this would be where I was at, because I was a kid who grew up in and out of foster care with 2 parents who were addicted to drugs. I lived in homeless shelters, I lived with strangers, I lived with neighbors, I lived in trailer parks and in cars. It was just all over the place with just the abuse situation at home. So by the time I was 11 years old, my sister and I ended up in the foster care system. And where I'm at now in life, I recognize the challenges that I endured as a foster child, and I'm choosing to tackle that with my platform now. But back then, it was obviously a really terrible situation. And it wasn't significant to me until I was right before my 20th birthday when I remembered and recognized that I am the first of my mom's children to reach that age. She has 4 kids. I had an older brother named Cody who was also in the system. He was actually a ward of the state and was in and out of detention centers and foster homes his whole life, and committed suicide while I was in foster care the first time. I was 11 years old when that happened, and I was very close to him. And he died the week before he would have turned 20 on his birthday. So he never reached that birthday, and I had another brother named Colin who died right before I was born, and he was 3, or almost 3. He drowned, and he also never saw his birthday. And then I had older siblings from my dad's side who by the time they were 20 were dropping out of high school, had been in jail multiple times, were doing drugs and really struggling with life. So when I reached my 20th birthday, it was really important to me to celebrate it for the turning point that it was for me in my history, but also for my family to see the path that I was on and really reinforcing the fact that my life is going to be different than what I was given as a child. Even now I get asked if you had one positive aspect of your foster care experience, what would it have been? And my answer has always been that I had a guardian ad litem. Her name was Alicia, and I remember her specifically because she had a fat little wiener dog named Sissy that she always used to bring to our visits. And that, as an 11-year-old girl, made me feel this sense of family and this sense of recognition that I wasn't getting from being in the foster care system. So the role that Alicia was in enforced that she had to look out for my best interest, which at the time I didn't understand because I wanted to go home with mom and dad, and Alicia knew that that probably wasn't the best thing for me. So we ended up not being able to go home at certain points, and then I recognized later that she was right and she saved me from probably a lot of abuse that would have happened back home. So I ended up in foster care a second time when I was 14 years old, and I did not have a guardian ad litem, and I strongly remember that situation being so much worse than the first time, having been removed from families due to abuse and then going back home, and I knew in my heart that I should not have been home. I should have been back with a foster family away from my biological family, but I didn't have anybody to advocate for me at that point. So even my social workers, not to neglect what they did, but they weren't representing what I needed. And that was the thing that I miss most about Alicia. She was somebody that made such a huge difference for me, and even now, working on foster care and trying to be a productive citizen and working for things that require change and require a voice, I often try to remind myself of the positive things that I did encounter in the foster care system, and my guardian ad litem, Alicia, and her dog Sissy were the highlight of that journey for me. So that's where I'm at.